The only constant in life is change. Welcome to another episode of the All Around Growth Podcast. My name is Rob Kaiser and I am your host. Welcome to episode number 158 of the show. This show is intended to give you some insight and tools to build the life and homestead of your dreams. We're heading down the driveway. I'm still having my coffee and a smoke. Contemplating the change that is upon me, us, perhaps. I went about the morning routine a little differently than I normally do this morning. I got some news yesterday that my partner will not be returning. When she went on maternity leave, I get almost 7 weeks ago, I mentally prepared myself for the fact that she might not return. So I don't want to say that I'm surprised by anything. I want to preface everything that I'm about to say by the fact that I am overjoyed for her. She's got a healthy little baby, and she's going to have the ability to be a stay-at-home mom. And I think that is wonderful. Things have been going pretty well. In the interim, I believe, obviously I'm not getting as much done as I would like, and I'm not as productive as I used to be, but I guess my boss there's no real defined hierarchy where I work. I report to the sales manager. The owner's made it very clear that he is the owner and that any news or updates of medical issues that I have need to go to him. And I'm left to presume that things are okay because I've only had one conversation with the individual that acts as my superior in the past month. And that's a little strange to me, but nevertheless, it is what it is. I have yet to read from any daily devotional this morning. And I'm conflicted with what I want to read. So, what do we do? The rudder of the day, strength for today, or 365 Tao? Let's go with 365 Tao. It's a little less certain than what I oftentimes read in the rudder of the day and strength for today. Today's Wednesday, January 28th. It's the 209th day of the year, so we'll flip to page 209, see where we're at and what we're reading about. 209th day of the year has a character called Trap. Age is covered with cosmetics, gray hidden with dye. Confidence is sought in men, awareness deferred for the future. She toils on her job, enduring tension and fatigue. subsisting on tranquilizers, pinning futile hopes on her children. Many people allow themselves to be trapped into a miserable life. When we see this, we might think, how tragic. But in actuality, they did it to themselves. We should all know how our lives are going, for we need only track the decisions that confront us every day. There are people who think that it does not matter what they do, or they shrug that they are victims of circumstance. That does not justify an unhappy life. Illness, stress, divorce, maladjusted children, and fear of death trap us. Those who follow Tao do not want to end up this way. They want to be free. They do not want to be victims. Therefore, although it is a difficult path, they constantly seek to expand the parameters of their lives. They do not suffer to be exploited or enslaved, and they will eschew what is considered normal in order to be happy. Damn, if that isn't profound, I don't know what is. So here we go. We are on our way to the day job, and we are talking about how tragic it is how people appear to be miserable in their lives, but in actuality, they did it to themselves. If we are miserable, or we claim that we are trapped in life, do we talk about being victims of circumstance? Or there's an old Grateful Dead song called Saint of Circumstance, with a few lines that go as follows. I sure don't know what I'm going for, but I'm gonna go for it for sure. Now, I'm not a good singer. I like to try, and quite frankly, I'd like to take singing lessons someday. I think that would be awesome. It's a little secret I don't share with many people, but we can indeed claim to be victims of circumstance, or we can be saints of circumstance, as Brother Bobby sang. Now, I could easily look at the circumstances that I'm in, having lost my partner, uncertain of the future, not being able to maintain the levels of productivity that I used to, having to manage an increased workload. And all of this has contributed to some stress, self-inflicted, self-imposed stress, I suppose. We all do the best that we can, and I can't think that there's been days anytime recently where I haven't done the best that I can. And I need to remember that, because there's a lot of people in this life that don't do that they don't do the best they can. And they're just comfortable with how things are. And how things are the way that things have been for quite some time. And unlike what we read about expanding parameters of our lives, people A lot of people just don't constantly seek to expand the parameters of their lives. So, if you are a person that's listening to this right now, if you're someone that's hearing these words, listening to the All Around Growth podcast, a show that provides tools and insight to build the life and homestead of your dreams, you are most likely a person that is not of the victim mentality. It's most likely that you embrace the difficult path of life that we together walk. And most likely you seek to expand the parameters of your life as well. It's highly likely that if you're listening to this show, that you do not suffer to be exploited or enslaved. And it is highly likely that you will forego what is normal in order to be happy. You see, most people aren't like you and I. We began reading that many people allow themselves to be trapped into a miserable life. When we see this, we might think how tragic, but in actuality, they did it to themselves. If life on life's terms presents us with situations that are not optimal, again, we could go into that victim mentality and be a victim of circumstance. But within chaos lies opportunity. And as if the past 12 to 18 months haven't been chaotic enough, more change is on the horizon. It is for me. I'm not entirely sure what that change looks like yet either. And perhaps you don't either. Maybe you've lost someone in your life, a pivotal employee, perhaps, a friend, a family member, or maybe you haven't lost them per se, but you've become distanced from that individual or those individuals. And while it may be sad in some way, chances are, if you've become distanced from those individuals for whatever reason, chances are you've also embraced other individuals in your life. Maybe not directly, but maybe it's with content that you're consuming, podcasts you're listening to, books that you're reading, books that you're listening to, articles that you're reading, anything, everything. When one door closes, another door opens. And if one door closes and we find ourselves not seeing any other doors that open, or not seeing any other doors at all, perhaps it's time to build a door. Or construct a new wall. And build the door exactly to your specifications, the way that you want it exactly, instead of trying to work around and fix someone else's door that you've been walking in and out of for years, that you've always thought, maybe I could. You always knew, really, that you could. There was nothing inherently wrong with the door, but you always wanted your own door. Anyways, that thought train took me down a little path, but hopefully you enjoyed where that went. Initially, I was anxious and felt I don't know. I felt some anxiety about what might happen, about this day, about learning the unknown. I felt some anxiety about the unknown. And now that I have some certainty about what and how we're going to move forward, I feel better about that. But I feel good about the unknown. What I do know, though, is that I'm glad I chose this reading for the day. I'm glad I chose this devotional, because I follow Tao. I believe myself to be a Taoist. I'm also a Christian. The two dovetail nicely with each other, but they do not, and are not the same. But those who follow Tao, those who listen to this podcast, we do not want to end up with an unhappy life. We do not wish for illness, stress, divorce, maladjusted children, and the fear of death trapping us. We want to be free. We do not want to be victims. And therefore, although it is a difficult path, we constantly seek to expand the parameters of our lives. We do not suffer to be exploited or enslaved, and we will eschew what is considered normal in order to be happy. It's words of wisdom like this from Deng Ming Dao that provide the insight that allow us to facilitate an environment that's conducive to creating the life and homestead of our dreams. Now, I hope that this show was of value to you, and I hope that you enjoyed what we talked about today. If you like what you hear, you can check out the show notes. There's links to all episodes for easy access. You can give a quick scroll and find any topic that might suit your interests. Check it out there. If you also like what you hear, you think someone else in your life might like it as well, then by all means, share it with them. Share it with them directly via email. You can do that in the show notes as well, or on the webpage rather, or share it on social media and just get the word out there. I would highly appreciate that as well. That's it for today, guys. I hope that you have a great day, and whatever change is present in your life, may you deal with it effectively and deal with it well. This is Rob Kaiser, and thank you.